intro?
Yeah, I'll take the banner here. So thank you everybody for joining us. This is Ashley and Joe for Cyberside Chats. I should probably get our name right if I'm going to do the introduction. Thank you for joining us here today. We've got a few hot topics to talk about. The first one we really wanted to get into was Amazon. This is harder than it looks. So for those of you that are listening or watching, Joe's really talented. So I'm going to give you that.
We've got an audience in here today too, so we'll see if they chime in at all or not. But I hope that it's kind of like PTI when like a big thing happens, they yell in the background. So Mary, Pat, you've been outed, so don't be shy. Alright, so what we wanted to tell, there's been a lot going on. There's honestly, like, we were trying to really gather a good demographic of what to talk about today, and Amazon's just going to keep coming up. There's just those inevitables. But something we read on multiple articles and outlets this week was, I think something we've always kind of assumed was that Amazon's online shopping site having fake reviews. Now, I don't know if you shop like I do, but when I look on Amazon and I try to determine a product's worth and well-being, if you will, I look at the reviews.
Yeah, I'm a nut. I go all in.
Yeah,
I want everything.
Have you ever thought, like, these have got to be fake? Like,
No, I have too much
trust
in the entire world. That's my problem. From a brand perspective, though, whenever I think about it or I go on and I'll Google our company, and see what people are saying about it, I always get this urge to like leave a very positive comment. You know, keep it short and sweet. Maybe give myself an alias, be the Jane Doe.
No, I mean,
but it's one of those things you think about.
Yeah, like I subscribe to our podcast. I gave us 5 stars.
Yeah.
I mean, like I get it. It's like you tell people, look, go tell them that our product's the best thing you've ever purchased. That way, when some random Joe looks at your product, they see 5 stars and they're gonna buy it. And I've definitely been. I mean, I feel like it's strategic too, though, because you can click 5 stars, and then I feel like more often than not, like if you're doubting yourself on an Amazon purchase, you click that like 1-star review. It's like, let's see who hates it and why. Yes. You read 2 of those, and you will be turned off for that product for
I do that with hotels too.
Yeah.
I want to see like, is it gross?
What's your minimum, like, if you're out of a 5-star hotel, like, what's the lowest you'll go? You 4 and up,
yeah. TripAdvisor's my best friend.
Yeah. All we do is promote companies. Some of you guys got to pay us one of these days, because all we're doing is talking y'all up.
Send us a Venmo, like the kids
do. Exactly. Again, this is just something that, like, sticks out with all of advertising and all of business. It's just, like, what's real, what's paid for. It's like you see these famous people on Instagram who've got 500,000 followers, but you can also buy, like somebody messaged my dog's Instagram account the other day saying, like, hey, $40, and this is, I probably shouldn't even be saying that. This person's
Donuts has an Instagram?
Yes, Donuts the Frenchie, check her out.
Oh, you were serious?
I'm dead serious. It was a mutual, either way. I don't need to get into selling my dog.
It was a mutual partnership between yourself and Donuts. So you do have permission, which is important.
She runs the show, but no, for real, you can buy and fake everything. So just it's not to say that it's gonna demean good products worth on Amazon, but it's just to say that like now you might look at it a little more suspiciously.
Yeah, I never thought about it, especially with Instagram, Facebook. There's just so much more ambiguity in what's happening in the world, and what's real and what's not, and it's becoming harder and harder to tell the difference.
I agree. I think next we want to talk about Apple and Qualcomm, but I did want to discuss what we left out we maybe briefly touched on it, Gmail turning 15, and like how far emails come. I remember like my AOL accounts and like getting pictures from somebody for the first time via email and things like that.
You couldn't find the file, you didn't know like why the paperclip was there.
Exactly.
It's almost like the word paperclip, like where are we making this transition now?
Right. Yeah. Gmail's really it's like the cool everyday email. Like there's like, I think the big ones nowadays are probably like Gmail, Yahoo, like where else? What's another like?
Outlook's primary for
that's like business I always see. But like when someone emails me or like submits a resume with like a Hotmail,
I'm like, is this real?
Like it's
Roadrunner at Roadrunner.
Yeah, so if you have a Hotmail account, it's essentially just a roasting to come for me at least.
Unless you're 86. My grandpa had a Roadrunner because that was what came with this cable.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're over the age of 70, that's acceptable.
Yeah, I agree. So Apple.
Or Mary's mom.
Mary's like, I have 6 Hotmail accounts.
Oh my God.
I'm on Hotmail Roadrunner.
Yeah, see, and it comes with cable sometimes, and she gets a pass. Tony, you get a pass.
Yeah, I like it. So Apple and Qualcomm. We didn't dig too far into it. We didn't discuss too much of it because the big wigs are going to know more. If you want to introduce it, or would you like?
A ton of activity that was going on for 2 years, millions and millions of dollars. It was seemed to be a contentious relationship. Billions of dollars.
Yeah, it was
$27 billion trial.
$30 billion.
They began their federal trial. Everything went quiet. Just crickets.
I read an article that talked about the two CEOs having like a really heated discussion. Like it wasn't like, oh, they met and we don't know what happened. Like it was out there that they were like spitting in each other's faces type meeting. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like the next day, I'm reading these other articles saying like, nope, they're done.
Completely
like
dismissed.
that. Like
this makes you nervous.
Right?
What's
like,
gonna happen? I was talking
yeah.
about this. Like it's the crazy ex-girlfriend.
Right.
She suddenly stopped stalking all of your profiles.
Cuts
like,
off
what's
all
going to
times,
happen now?
right? Next
your
year.
apartment's going to be
yeah,
fire.
your tires are slit.
Yeah,
your
you just
apartment's
don't
got
know.
a brick in the window.
So
yeah.
next time we'll tell with this one.
The whole I didn't read too much into it prior to these days, but they both had arguments. I know Apple was getting sued by Qualcomm for not essentially giving them enough money for utilizing their product away, and then Apple was saying that they should have been paid because Qualcomm was charging too much, and this is very Cliff Notes, elevator conversation type thing, but I mean, there's over 2 years of potential court issues and almost $30 billion worth at risk. Like for it to just all of a sudden, it's bizarre. Who knows what that paid? Like Apple paid Qualcomm a settlement that's not to be disclosed, but who knows what it was? Like just like who knows how much the Winklevoss twins got paid? Or is that out there? That might be out there, but one of those guys, it's not out there. The Eduardo Saver, I don't want to get his last name wrong, but either way, one of the Facebook guys who was bound to be a billionaire didn't get paid, and his settlement was not addressed. So it leaves you to believe, like, okay, where are we talking here? Like, how mad is he still?
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. We'll follow up on that as more news becomes prevalent. But
one thing I'm excited to talk about today, and this is the first and last time you'll hear me say this, is Walmart. Walmart is replacing human jobs, things like shelf scanning, floor scrubbers, unloaders, online shoppers that are able to retrieve goods from the store if they buy it online and they come pick it up in Walmart. So that's going to be replaced by robots. We knew this day was coming.
Sure did.
And it's probably only going to continue to become, you see those funny commercials on it. I think it was like a Samsung commercial. It's like robots don't have any empathy and they really don't have any personality. But that's really where Walmart is headed. I'm not really surprised that they're the first to publish it and talk, not a big game, but talk about their plans for it.
Yeah.
We'll actually see what'll happen because I think there'll be an uprising in kind of labor unions, things like that. People, humans just
we're in the future. Like it's
eating
like
up robots in the Walmart parking lot.
Seriously,
that's where
right?
it's going to get to. Like the things you're going to see in Walmart now are going to be even crazier than the past couple years.
You watch movies as a kid and it's like, oh man, in the future, like the flying cars, whatever makes the future. We're in it though. Like we're literally, automated driving is not too far off. Flying cars isn't too far off, and I'm all for it. Like I am so like new school as opposed to old school. It's like, God forbid, like the Wi-Fi network shuts down for a week. Like how will I survive? I mean, I use my GPS when I go everywhere. I have about every piece of technology in my bedroom known to man. One of these days they're going to come out and say like, oh, too much Wi-Fi in an environment is what's causing all sorts of, and I'm going to be the one like, oh, well, I've got
connected.
Either way, I'm for technology and I think it's pretty cool. Hopefully it doesn't take away. I felt like when I read about that too, I felt like I read that they were going to make sure it didn't really take away too many jobs and that if anything it was going to benefit workflow, but I mean obviously benefit workflow, but we'll see where that goes too. Like, I'm interested to like walk into my first one. But like these hotels, like have you ever been to the hotels that the robots will deliver? You get like the bottle of whiskey or whatever food. Yeah, the one in your local. Yeah.
Yep. They just send him up to the room. They program him. He opens up. He says hello. He opens up. We were down at a dinner there a few years ago, 2 years ago at Patina. And
2 years ago, yeah. Imagine what it's like
he
now.
just rolls up and he's like, hello. It's like this little white robot. And it opens up and it has your towels, or say you called for washcloths, or you called for a drink or a meal, and it's just delivered to you, and it takes the human factor out of it entirely. Now, being at a hotel, maybe you want that sense of privacy, so there's probably, there's arguments pro and con all of these items.
Very true. I mean, getting into even further like tech related, so that Alphabet, their company, Wing. They're like giving the green light for all the drone deliveries, and it's like the Super Bowl ad that we saw that showed like the big Amazon. And it made it seem like it was almost like a scene out of Independence Day. It's like, oh man, like there's the big like what this is what's happening nowadays, but like it's supposed to show optimism and a future of growth. But like Wing is really, they're talking about drones delivering food, coffee, all sorts of other things to businesses, households, and I don't think that the mile radius is like anything huge. It'll probably be within like 25 to, I don't want to even say anything, but either way, I know that like the delivery isn't going to be, you're not going to be ordering, a pizza from 4 hours distance away to get to either way. But I think it's cool. Like again, I'm very new school. Like if I could just like sit there and record my drone coming in and post it to like a story somewhere and make myself look cooler for something, like I'm all for that.
That's my joke.
do it for the snap, as the kids say. The gram.
You still use Extend?
I haven't.
We don't need to discuss it.
Still, it doesn't go up too
much. We don't need to get in there. No, I do think that is going to be really interesting. Amazon obviously is kind of how you think about it. So we think about it now. When we had free 2-day shipping with Amazon, that I thought was the future. Mm-hmm. That's incredible. I can get anything from anywhere: food, drinks. Are you touching your nose for a reason? Food, drinks,
See, we look at you guys.
manufactured goods, literally anything.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those things that now you're gonna have a drone just drop it off for you, no matter where you are.
We talked about Amazon last week a lot, as well as Apple, and we really stated how companies nowadays, in order to be successful, pretty much have to mimic those companies. It's like, okay, if they're doing it, we have to find a way to do it equally or better. It's kind of the Apple mentality. Like we've said, Apple's not always the first to do things, but they're usually the best to do them. So they weren't the first to bring out this, but they're going to make it better than, they didn't have any Samsung exploding phone situations. They made sure they had all that situation. Anyway, it brings us to Disney Plus. It's another streaming platform.
Yep.
It's coming to fruition, and essentially if you're a business these days, you're launching a TV streaming platform. It's just like everyone's really trying to get on it. There's so much out there. Like everybody, there's the memes, the jokes that like, okay, I go to put on a Netflix movie at night, and a half hour later, I'm still scrolling through my options.
There's so many things, and then there's the factor of, okay, so I want to watch Game of Thrones. That came out this weekend, so that's a really hot topic right now. I don't watch. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
No, I gave up on it.
Pat's gonna give us a hard time.
No.
He likes it. There are a few people in the office that are just like die hard. So that's on HBO. So say I don't have the HBO package, but I have like the CBS. I have the CBS package, or I have Hulu, or I have Netflix. So now you need all these platforms. And Disney still, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Disney has to offer, and what kind of hit they're going to take. I was reading, they're going to take a hit on licensing through Netflix. So all of the Disney movies that are on Netflix currently, Disney gets paid licensing for every film that they stick on Netflix. So now they're going to pull those off of Netflix. It's only going to be available on Disney Go. So, like, what's my Sunday morning hangover movie going to be?
I'm interested to see how Disney does, because Disney has, its channel that's already existing. So they have shows from probably 20 years past that are all going to be available to be streamed on this.
That's So Raven, even Stevens, stuff that, like, when we were growing up.
Yeah, and most of these, your Netflixes, your HBOs, you're everywhere. they don't all, none of them have strictly original content. So like Netflix is having movies that were made outside of their production. HBO, they make original films and shows now, but they're, the majority of their work is also just films that they essentially buy the licensing for and put on their platform.